So I am a singer, songwriter, producer. And when I was 13, 14, I was in a rock band. There's always ups and downs. I think in our sorts of careers, there's always going to be like a
100%.
up and down. So being someone who's creative, is you could have a life which is a bit more, I guess, like a plateau. Yeah. But you choose the path of high risk, high reward. I think there was no kind of viable, easy option in terms of like from being at Cambridge to kind of being a singer. How do you make that work? There's a song called Why This Collar Very Deep. No. Literally, so that song went so viral that I get booked for shows in like Toronto, Malaysia, Singapore. They're like, can you come and sing that one song? I just began dating Tash. Very, very smart girl. So my mum and Tash were like a little duo, like a little mamager and wifager sort of tag team. So we were dating for about 8 or 9 years, but we got married for only 6 months. And then she passed away in September that year.
Arjun, who's had millions of views on YouTube, is warning young people about heart attacks. His wife died suddenly, unexpectedly.
It's a very sudden kind of undiagnosed heart condition I had no idea about. So it was total shock. It's like a hard reset. Obviously everything has to just stop completely. So I left music for a while. I wasn't touring. I was a bit of a zombie really for a few months. Post Tash passing, I think I've definitely learned that empathy and general feeling of connection with people. I feel more connected to people in general. It's love, like it's amazing, and being loved is a key to life.
Arjun, welcome to Millennial Mind. Are you happy to be here?
Yes.
Are you actually? For people who didn't see the behind the scenes of what just happened, I got every single stat wrong about Arjun.
Stats.
I didn't know his last name, but he doesn't want me to say his last name, so it's a bit confusing. Race, I got wrong.
My last name is Artist.
Artist. Okay, so we'll just keep it at that for the podcast, yeah?
Yeah.
To be fair, that's what I researched, so I'm kind of correct.
You literally just typed into Google, Arjun Artist, and then everything else was wrong, so fine. Anyway, it's all good. We're here now.
We're here now,
yes.
And I'm happy to have you here. I've been wanting to do this with you for a really long time, and I know you're a little bit nervous to talk to me, but I'm here to make you feel...
kind of interview for me. Normally it's about music, so yeah.
This is going to be about music. It's just going to dive a little bit deeper. So, just a little bit. Fine. So for people who don't know who you are, I'm sure everybody knows who you are, but just tell us a little bit. Gosh, you're like...
No, I don't think they would.
Oh, you don't think they would? I thought you were like, God, everyone should know who I am.
No, not at all.
But for everyone who doesn't know who you are, tell us a little bit about you.
Right, so I am a singer, songwriter, producer. Kind of grew my fan following, I guess, mainly in the kind of Asian diaspora. Make a kind of fusion of R&B and pop with Hindi, Punjabi, Tamil, different languages. I think kind of that fusion has been my kind of key sound. Yeah. I kind of began my career in the UK. Signed to T-Series in India for 4 years. So I was kind of back and forth from India for a few years. Signed to Idol Records in the UK, Universal Music for 3 years. I have these kind of parallel kind of R&B career and also Bollywood at the same time. So yeah.
I had those stats. I was going to read them out.
You do? Great.
You read them out in front of me, so now I only have 2 more left.
That's not a stat.
It's information. And I also have, you're the most viewed UK Asian artist with over 1.1 billion views.
Good.
Crazy.
Good research. Good research.
Yeah, happy on that one. And also, you got 78 million views on T-Series, which is crazy. I mean, look, I'm obviously joking, but saying these numbers is mad. And I guess a lot of people, when they want to start their music career, they're often told only 1 in a million make it. Were you told that same?
Yeah, maybe not 1 in a million, but definitely 1 in maybe a few thousand. But I think there's definitely it's a harder path. I mean, I think in today's day and age, that there's obviously a route which is more, I guess, based off of Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I think that there's more avenues to kind of build a following now.
Right.
When I first started, it was more YouTube. Actually, when I first began, it was MySpace. That's how old I am. Sixth form, I think. Before university. I think that sort of time was like MySpace, and then it was Facebook, YouTube. I think now obviously there's Instagram, TikTok, Snap. So I think obviously there's different mediums, but I think back then YouTube was the key for me. I think my whole career began as like a viral YouTube singer. So yeah.
Right. So tell me how you started. So when did you kind of start singing, and did you get training? Did you just randomly upload onto YouTube? What's your story?
So I was actually in a rock band when I was like 13, 14 years old. Yeah. I was in a very kind of English school, like a white school. So my friends were English. And when I was 13, 14, I was in a rock band. I literally used to spray my hair like blue, pink. I was like a grungy, that kind of like kind of metal rock band.
Right.
So yeah, very different vibe. And then I think I was always around music at home. So my mum was into jazz and soul music. My dad not so much, but my general family vibe is they're quite into kind of jazz and soul more so. I'm actually more of an R&B lover than I love both worlds. But I think I'm much more into the Western stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so rock band initially.
I need to get a video of that.
I think that's been destroyed, luckily. Oh. My mum has a few pictures, but that was an awkward phase. It was like me and like 4 really tall English dudes, and like I was a little skinny Asian guy with a guitar. That was pretty awkward. Anyway, so that was the kind of like 13, 14.
Right.
And then around sixth form, around 16, I began to kind of write kind of more, I guess, like singer-songwriter kind of guitar songs. Mm-hmm. I wrote a song called Cosmic Highway. That's my first like school hit in my school. That was like the kind of vibey song that blew up. Not blew up, I mean.
Yeah, blew up in school.
You know what I mean, in school.
Yeah.
And then I realized I was Asian, so
Right.
I kind of got much more into the Bollywood and kind of, I guess, Punjabi and South Indian. I kind of immersed myself more in the kind of Asian world.
Right.
I think, so around like 18, 19, I was quite kind of dabbling between the two, kind of doing the R&B, but also a bit of Asian stuff too.
And what were you writing, or were you doing covers? Were you uploading to YouTube?
Yeah, so I was writing. Originally, weirdly, I began doing original songs on my own.
Right.
I actually did it in reverse. Normally, people start with covers.
Yeah.
I wrote like 3-4 of my own songs. And I actually briefly worked in marketing. And while I was working 9 to 5, the weekends and the evenings, I was like hustling. I was like going to all events and passing my CDs around and trying to kind of network. And weekends, I would just like do these really small gigs with a guitar in like a pub with like no one watching.
No way.
Yeah, for like 2-3 years. It was literally like me and a guitar pretty much. And I think that phase was like, I guess, the pre-YouTube phase. Actually, I was on YouTube, but it wasn't like I was doing my own songs.
Right.
The YouTube era, I would say, for me was covers mainly. Right. So I think around sort of, when was it? I think about 21, 22, I think I began to do kind of covers of actually I take an Indian song and rework it into like an English R&B sort of Craig David, Usher sort of vibe and bring kind of my R&B flavor to like an Indian song.
I think it's crazy when I hear people like you who are obviously massive now and have crowds and thousands of people watching you, that you started in a pub. Like with a guitar,
many pubs, yes.
And nobody watching. And I always find it interesting of how did you keep going? Because I think singing, and I haven't shared this before, and I'm very scared to say this because I'm sure there's videos out there. I used to sing when I was younger.
Really?
Professionally.
Diverse, talented, model, singer, podcaster.
But when I was younger, I used to love singing, and I still love singing. But it's the one thing I'm so shy about. If you ask me to sing with you, I'd never do it. I'm too scared.
No way.
Because I think when I was younger, I used to always compare myself so much, and I'm not the best singer. And I
what
still
do you sing?
love
like
it.
Hindi or
Hindi
English?
songs? I love them.
Oh wow.
English songs.
Okay.
I mean, I used to famously sing Titanic all the time at every family gathering. My parents used to make me sing.
Is this your pitch to do a
No,
collab?
absolutely not.
Okay, fine.
Do want that. No, joking. But when I was younger, I used to. I got up to grade 8 in singing, and I used to love
grade
it.
8 in singing.
Yeah, and I used to love it.
Wow.
But I was always so scared, and I used to always sing bhajans at whenever my grandma would tell me to. And then as I got older, I became even more self-conscious about singing, so I stopped. But when I remember at a school concert, I messed up a song. And I'll never forget how I felt. And I remember everybody knew I messed it up. And
what does messed up mean? Like, just
well, the key was wrong.
Oh,
first of all,
out of tune.
I mean, I've had so many situations like this. I think it scarred me. When I was like 11, I sang at this concert for my Gujarati school, and the music didn't play, so the mics weren't working. Sorry, so I couldn't hear the tabla player, I couldn't hear the harmonium, and I couldn't hear the backdrop. So I was singing, and the music was all not in sync. So scarred from that, they had to shut the curtains. By the way, midway me singing, and then I've never shared this before. Honestly, I don't know why I'm saying this.
That's very traumatic.
And then at sixth form, again, the key was wrong. So I sung the song in a completely incorrect key. So I messed up. Anyway, so I think I was really traumatized by those experiences. And I guess listening to you, going to a pub and singing and nobody's there watching, my question...
I've had worse than that, honestly. I've had one memory, actually, one clear memory I have. So I did this... When I began my kind of Arjun artist career,
right?
I did a show with H. Dami, H. Dami,
yeah,
Punjabi singer, obviously. Back then he was like the thing. He was like the next sort of big Punjabi artist.
Yeah.
So it was me supporting him at Sports Cafe. It's like this venue in Haymarket. It's like a club. Anyway, so I remember literally like no one knew who I was, right? So when you have songs that no one knows, no one really cares. It's like you get a gig. Yeah. People just want to hear who they know, right? So anyway, so I was literally the opening act. And I went on, And they handed me a microphone, and the microphone literally had like a wire, and it was extended like about this far.
Right.
It was like not like I literally had to like stand by the booth. So I was like literally like falling into the booth. The stage was like a tiny. Funny. It wasn't his stage. It was like a little side stage.
Right.
And they were playing like hardcore Bhangra, like in like proper Bhangra. When guys are when Punjabis are going crazy to Bhangra,
right,
you should not
can't stop them.
End it.
No,
right? So
never.
they should just cut the music. They cut the Bhangra in the middle of like some like big Bhangra song. Handed me the mic, no introduction, no like this is Arjun, whatever.
Yeah.
And started playing my song, and all these guys were just like, "Who the like what is going on?" Literally, and it was playing really quietly as well to add to everything, right? So I'm singing with this like wired microphone, like trying to like not trip up on this mic, and people were just like started booing. They was like, "Get off the stage! Like, what are you doing?"
No.
Literally. Yeah, I remember this. H. Dami knows the story too. Now he does. He's a friend of mine now.
Okay.
But
Not like I hate you.
Yeah.
Hey, Shami, shout out to you for ruining my life.
It wasn't his fault, but yeah, I think that was like a rude shock. I was like, oh my god, this is like no one gives a S. Like
you can
so
swear. It's okay.
I can swear. Okay. No.
Everyone's always shocked that they can swear on my podcast.
I don't know the vibes. Yeah.
It's a chilled vibe.
It's like a PG vibe. But anyway, fine. So so H now we're like good friends and now we do gigs together. It's fine. But I think back in the day, he was shocked that that I was basically booed off stage. Anyway, so your story is pretty bad. Like the curtain coming down is pretty cringe, but like mine.
And my parents laugh about it to this day. They find it so funny. And I'm like, it was traumatizing. And that's why I don't bloody sing anymore. And they're like, why don't you sing? You're going to be in the next Shreya Ghoshal. And I'm like, obviously every parent thinks that about their child, right?
Yeah.
You know?
But I think you have to persevere. I think that exactly
that was my original question. I think I diverted into my own traumatic story.
Tangent,
but I guess my question was, when you have moments like that, where you're booed off the stage, or you're singing in a pub and no one's listening and no one's really caring, how do you keep going?
So yeah, I mean, I think I've been very blessed to be quite positive in general. I think I'm quite delusional sometimes. I mean, like my team says to me like the song's doing really bad. I'm like, no, it's a hit. It's smashing it, and I always feel like everything is great. But well, not all the time. But I generally have quite positive outlook in general. But I mean, that gig was pretty soul destroying. Obviously, a boot off stage. That's not much you can say to kind of redeem that. But I think that was. I think it was. I understood it. I think I've got an awareness of why things are the way they are. I think obviously no one knew who I was.
Yeah.
Context of it was pretty. I wasn't given a sound check. I had a rubbish microphone. Like no one. So I think that was obviously
an intro. Yeah. That's really mature though, a way looking at it rather than like self-wallowing and self-pitying to be like, oh my god, this happened to me.
I think honestly, even as big as I'm sure people like Ed Sheeran have days where they're like, I didn't sing well, or I was a crap gig, or the crowd wasn't into it. So there's always there's always ups and downs. I think that's as you know in our sorts of careers, there's always going to be like a
100%
up and down kind of.
Yeah.
I think that is the big risk you take. Being a creator, being someone who's creative, is you could have a life which is a bit more, I guess, like a plateau.
Yes.
And be maybe more more content, or I guess more
stable.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you choose the path of a high risk, high reward, and I think the highs are so high.
They are.
When you go on stage, people are like chanting your name. Come off stage, and your mum's like, "Can you take the dishes out the dishwasher?" So like the highs and the lows are quite, So I think there's always been that feeling of like the highs are so high, and you come off stage, like how do you keep the high going? I think that's why a lot of artists do drugs. I don't do drugs, but a lot of artists do to kind of keep that high going because the high is so high.
Right.
How do you maintain that? And how do you be okay with a
normal
low
life?
Yeah, with like a normal, when people aren't trying to tear your clothes off, or what I mean. I think I saw Bieber actually, just Bieber post about this actually, and then the reason why people literally have to revert to stuff like drugs is because they literally have these extreme highs and lows. How do you mediate that? How do you kind of control that kind of those lows? So the lows, I mean, aren't super low unless something bad happens. But I think normal life to see mundane at times to me. If I'm on tour for like a month, do a bunch of shows, do like a world tour, come back home, everything feels a bit, watching Netflix feels a bit boring. So yeah.
And how do you manage that?
So I think it's like, I think I've reached a point now in life where I feel like I've achieved a good balance. I think there's not always a correlation between being successful in your career and being happy, even though you might think that.
Right.
But actually having if you have a pie chart of your life, let's say, and you slice it into, I don't know, social, your friends, your family, your relationships, whatever, your career, each person has their own way to kind of slice that. I think career at times, I mean, when I was younger, career was everything. Like when I kind of began my career, it it was like go. I miss everything. I miss a friend's weddings. I miss my niece being born. I missed like family. I missed everything. Everything was like not priority because work was so crucial. Yeah. I think in that kind of growing period, I was touring. I was on a flight every other day. I was in Africa, Dubai, Singapore, literally traveling like crazy, just doing show after show and kind of building that fan base. I think that was not the happiest time, honestly. If I was to look at it actually not objectively, from in hindsight, it was the most lucrative time in terms of like fan base growing, financially, fame, like whatever. But actually, my own mental health, my own kind of like happiness wasn't the highest. I think actually now, I realized that I need to see my friends, and I need to see my family, and I need to have like family. I mean, I have to have that time.
Yeah.
And balance it. It's all about balance. I think that it's about having everything in, not moderation, but kind of balancing it all to kind of achieve that pie chart. Yeah. I think that there has to be times when you go for it in your career. And I think to make it to any kind of high level as a CEO of a company or as an artist or whatever, podcaster, you have to just go for it and everything. I mean, something has to give. You can't have everything. You can't be the world's best boyfriend or husband, but also be the best artist. I think you have to kind of do each at a different time, I think.
It's so interesting because I need to stop saying it's so interesting. Everything I've been it's so interesting.
It is interesting.
It is. But for me, I think that it's really important to maintain those 4 things you've just said in terms of your relationship, your work, your social life, and your career. Now, I'm at this point in my life where I feel I am so obsessed with the podcast, and it is all I think about. It's all that I want to do. I think
this is your time.
Right.
I can feel from observing you from afar that this is your kind of like the kind of exponential lift in your career is happening. I think that sort of time, everything else has to take a backseat. I think whether it's a family thing, whatever. I think people should understand that you're in a kind of unique position to really accelerate to that next level. I think, and if you don't do it now, because I feel like there's always, you can feel it. It's like a vibe. There's an energy. There's like
feel it.
So that feeling, I remember feeling like it's like everything just is working. Everything's just like every.
Well, no, everything is not working. I feel like every day is like chaos. But I feel like every single day I will sleep honestly 3-4 hours, but I'm not tired because I'm so
you wake
excited,
up feeling energized,
and I'm so obsessed with it. Like I really, really am, and I didn't feel like this before. And I've had this conversation with my family. I've had this conversation with my friends, and I've had this conversation in my relationship to let people know that. It's not that they're not a priority, because being a priority, and I heard this in a podcast once by Tom Bilyeu, and he's talking about his wife, and he said, my wife is my utmost priority, but she is not the person I spend the most time with. But she is my utmost priority. So I've had that same conversation in my relationship to be like, if you need me, I'm there, but I can't have dinner midweek. I can't, even with my friends, meet you for a casual dinner. I'll be there for your wedding. I'll be there for your wedding events.
That's good, yeah.
I have my laptop with me in the other room. My friend got married in the summer, and he was doing his registry. And in between the starter, main, and dessert, I was in the other room uploading the podcast.
Yeah, I can relate to that. That is exactly the fit that I had that exact feeling where literally nothing. I woke up literally wanting to just get in studio, go and perform, whatever it was. But literally nothing else. I didn't really enjoy anything else that much. If I'm honest with you, I was like, as much as I loved my partner, my wife, whatever. Not wife at the time, but whatever, partner and family. I think it was just like nothing really gave me the same joy and excitement. I think, and of course you know.
It's sad. This is a weird feeling because I'm feeling that, and I keep thinking like, have I become antisocial? No. Why am I not having fun? Why don't I want to go to these places? Why do I just want to get out and go home? Like every single moment, I'm just like, I need to get home and be on my laptop. And it's just become a bit of an obsession. And it's difficult to explain to people because obviously when you're with people and you're like, I got to go, it's hard for them because they're like, what have I done? But I'm like, I just don't, I just want to get on with it. It's so bad.
And I feel like I had no personal Facebook, Instagram when I was kind of I guess blowing up in my career. I didn't care what people were doing. I didn't care to see what people were, where they were on holiday, what they're having for dinner. Literally all I cared about was like tunnel vision. I was like, I got to just kill this because I have this what unique chance to just build something amazing. I think that sort of that phase in your life, you have to just go for it. And everyone else around you, it's hard because they might not understand initially, but I think if they really, really love you, they understand it. They get it.
And I think it's hard because people are seeing that I am stressed, and people are messaging me like, I hope you're not burnt out, or you need to take a break. Like people, my family are like, you're looking too skinny, you really need to stop it. And I'm like, you don't understand, I love it. Like, this isn't making me stressed, this is making me feel happy. And like, I've cancelled 3 holidays this year, and I literally don't care. Like, genuinely, I've cancelled Ibiza, I cancelled Dubai, I've cancelled...
I'm a different place to you at the moment. I think I'm in the opposite phase where I feel like I'm actually... But that's the thing. It's all about, like, you know, context and timing. I think
100%.
like everyone, there's phases of life, right? There's obviously phases where you prioritize I've talked to artist friends of mine. Most of my artist friends have babies and have families.
Right.
And they've chosen to take like a year off from touring or just slow down. Yeah. Because of course that's a key time in life where you should be there for family.
Yeah.
But then they're back on the road, and then they're back to touring, they're back to gigging. And I think it takes certain kind of women or man to understand that sort of all-consuming
100%
thing.
And you need to prioritize different things at different times. So for me, my career is my most important. In a year's time, it may be something else, and that's fine. Yeah. One thing I think people don't know about you, which I also got wrong, which you're really mad at me about, is that you went to Cambridge.
Yes.
Crazy.
Why is that crazy? Because I look like a...
First of all, you look like you're 15. So
thank you. I'll take that.
I know how to win you over again. But, you know, obviously you were...
Just to clarify, she said Oxford originally, so I had to clarify it. Don't tell someone from Cambridge who went to Oxford. That's like the worst.
Okay, sorry. Cambridge you went to. Yeah?
Yes.
I thought I got it wrong again. I was like, God, which one is it? No, but obviously you went
Where did you go to university?
Warwick.
Okay.
So, I mean, I wish I went to Oxford and Cambridge. Pray my kids every day go there. I went to visit Cambridge, and it's the most amazing place in the world. What did you study?
Have a guess. I'll give you a guess. I'll give you 2 guesses.
Economics.
That's too obvious.
Maths.
What? No. Okay,
What?
think like artistic. Think buildings.
Architecture. No way.
Yeah.
So you're a genius.
No, not at all. I think it's more. I think it's more kind of artistic than it is cerebral, like typical, I guess, academia. My family's very academic. My entire family have PhDs apart from me. My mum, dad, brother.
Wow.
So I'm like the black sheep. Yeah.
So you went to Cambridge. You studied architecture. How many years is that course?
So the BA is 3 years.
Right.
The full training is 7 years, but I realized I wasn't going to be an architect. I think you can still work as an architect after the BA.
Right.
But the BA was enough for me. I wasn't going to be an architect. So
you were doing music at the same time?
Yeah. So this one kind of that phase where I was doing the kind of soul destroying, like open mic. I was just with the guitar and no one caring. But that was like university. I think a lot of it was actually in Cambridge, like these kind of open mic nights in Cambridge, and that actually was a very, I guess, key phase in terms of character building, but also in terms of finding my sound, I guess. I think that was obviously, there's no pressure of having to make money. Obviously, you know, that's just like a good time to just try and find your sound, yourself, I guess. So
you studied architecture, and then you were like, it's not for me, and you realized music was 100% the career path you wanted to take.
Yes, but I wasn't sure how to make money from it. So obviously, like, it was a hard thing to kind of monetize. I think there's so my dad was like, okay, fine, you got a degree, but how are you gonna make money from, you know, because at 18 I was like, I'm gonna be a singer, I'm gonna be like a songwriter, producer. So actually my main passion was actually being in a studio and actually writing and making music. So like making beats, you know what production is? Like, okay, fine. So like Dr. Dre or people like that. So like literally composing music. So I think that was my biggest passion, more than singing.
Right.
And then I think that phase, post uni, I was working in marketing, and so my boss at my job actually was such a legend. So he was my biggest fan. He's this Indian guy, and he would like Arjun, like he's American, he's like Arjun, like beatbox for like in a meeting, he'd be like, when you beatbox with these guys, or like he was like a proper fan. So
want to beatbox for us now?
I can't, no, not anymore. Back in the day, I was 21. Anyway, so basically, he told my dad, he was like, listen, well, actually not really, but he kind of, my dad's pretty chill. I'm not going to paint him as being some crazy militant dad, but I think he was concerned, as any, I'd be concerned if my kid wanted to be, you know, a singer or dance or whatever. So I think there was no kind of viable, easy option in terms of like, I mean, kind of going from being at Cambridge to kind of being a singer. How do you make that work? I mean, versus like obviously busking is not the ideal thing, right? So I think for him, what happened? Oh yeah, so I think I had a song while I was working marketing. I was on YouTube, kind of doing covers. I think that's when I began the whole kind of fusion experiment.
Right.
There's a song called "Why This Color Very Deep." It's actually a South Indian song.
I bloody love that song.
Yeah.
So good.
So that cover actually went like viral at the time.
I remember hearing that. That's mad.
Yeah.
That's when you did that.
That was the first, like I guess my first breakthrough. And that song, so that song was literally, so that song went so viral that I get booked for shows in like Toronto, Malaysia, Singapore. They're like, can you come and sing that one song and fly back? So I was flying across the world. I remember once I flew to Auckland, New Zealand, 27-hour flight. I was there for 24 hours. I did the gig, flew back. But when I would do the gig, I'd like tweet saying, come meet me in this cafe. And then fans would just show up and I'd like sign T-shirts and whatever else. It was very like organic kind of fan growth, I guess. But and I do like media, so I do like TV and radio interviews when I was there. Oops. And I guess kind of it was a very gradual. It wasn't like a crazy curve. It was a kind of gradual growth, I think,
Right.
which actually was good in a way. Cause I was able to kind of grow at the same time as a person, as because if you look at like child stars who are like 15, who are thrust into like the limelight when they're like too young to live life. I think it's hard to. I guess the incline is so high and the fall is often quite steep.
Yeah.
I think that was a good thing that I was able to kind of live life at the same time. Anyway, so what was I talking about? Come on a tangent. My dad. Yes.
You're booked for that song. Yeah.
Yeah. So that song went viral. We started doing shows like crazy. Every weekend I was like in a different country. Like.
Did you quit your job at this point?
No, I was working. So I remember I was working, and my boss was like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you still like?" He'd see like on my Facebook. I was like, "I swear you were in Malaysia last weekend," or like, "What are you doing back at work on Monday morning?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I don't know," because I wasn't making that much money, if I'm honest with you. So the breakthrough for my dad, I did the World Cup theme song. And my dad's a big sports fan. So when I did the Cricket World Cup theme song, he was like, okay, fine. And his friends were like, your son is like on TV and stuff. That was when he was like, okay, fine. But anyway, so I think, so I took the plunge, as you just did as well, right? You just left your job.
Yeah.
That was nerve-wracking, because obviously the next day you wake up, you're like, there's no actual income coming in unless I go and make it, right, happen. So I think that was when it's a passion, when it's a hobby, it's just pure joy and it's pure enjoyment. But when it's your career, you have to find a way to monetize that joy. So
and when you're desperate to make it a career as well, I feel like for the past 3 months, it's got harder because I'm like really wanted to quit. But like you said, I feel like if you don't take the risk now, I never will. And so I think for the first couple of weeks, I was so excited. Now I'm getting into the phase where I'm like, oh my God, what have I done?
Really?
I'm like, shit. But no, I think
that will go away, I think.
Yeah, with time.
Yeah.
So you're obviously growing exponentially at this point. You quit your job, you've done the World Cup song, you were touring, you got millions of views on Facebook. And were you married at this point?
No.
Okay. So when did
I
you
think
get married?
I just began dating Tash.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, Tash and I was kind of parallel to. I think she kind of was there before I kind of blew up, I guess.
Right.
Not blew up, but whatever you call,
Yeah.
built a fan base. I think, and then she was initially. I'm not gonna lie, it was really hard. I think it was hard for her to understand the shift from me going for dinners and suddenly that everyone wants to take a picture with you, and it was like a very different sort of vibe.
Hundreds of girls being like, I love you.
I don't know, hundreds of girls, but yeah, there's definitely like an awkward phase where I think she was trying to adjust to it. I wrote a song about it called Stargazer. Actually, that song literally is about asking a girl to kind of be there for you while you try and make sense of this sort of, leaving a 9 to 5 to pursue a passion, and just being like, can you just, hold on for a little bit until I find my feet? And so that song actually, we actually on a break, and that song, when she heard it, she's like, okay, fine, I think I'm going to try and actually give this guy a shot, because even though he's a mess right now, maybe he'll make it, and whatever. So I think that was, like, I've always kind of expressed a lot of my feelings in songs. I think that was obviously one of my most meaningful songs back in the day. Anyway, so back to Tash. So she was, she actually initially she's a doctor,
right.
Very, very smart girl herself, but to kind of make things easier, she actually joined my team. Kind of began part of my. So my mum and Tash were like a little duo, like a little mamager and wifeager sort of tag team, and they're very similar. And they both kind of had this sort of kind of like, I'm quite a beta and they're both quite alpha. So I think they were like, they're happy. So I'm happy to let people run my life. Apart from in my career, I'm quite like what's the word, like an alpha, I guess, in that way. But everything else, what to have for dinner, where to go on holiday, what to do on the weekend, like I'll go. I'm pretty chill. I think so having her as part of the team, she brought that alpha energy. I think on tour she was very, everyone knew Tash. You're not going to trifle with her. She was on point. I think that. And then my mum and her together, and Samir and some other people, kind of built quite a strong team. And then so kind of for many years she was touring with me, and it was actually, we kind of kept it quite private that we were dating. It wasn't like a known thing. People within our friend circle knew.
Of course.
The industry knew, but the kind of, I guess, the wider world didn't know about it. So, yeah.
And how long were you married for?
So we were dating for about 8 or 9 years, but we got married for only 6 months. Yeah, we got married 2018, and then she passed away in September that year. So very sudden, kind of undiagnosed heart condition, which literally had no idea about. So it was total shock. She was very healthy, didn't smoke, didn't drink, literally had no sort of vices. I mean, I drink and I party a lot and whatever, but she was totally, opposite. So I think, a total shock to us, really. Yeah.
So when you're obviously growing and you have this fan base and you are on social media a lot talking about your career and you have to be in a state of mind to write songs, how did her death affect you in that way?
I think, it's like a hard reset. Obviously, everything has to just stop completely. So I left music for a while. I wasn't touring. I was a bit of a zombie really for a few months.
Of course.
So yeah, I was just kind of literally at home with a family and friends, just literally just being like a zombie. And I think that kind of early phase of grief, I was lucky because I didn't have to go to an office and work. I think I've had friends who've lost their parents or their siblings and they literally have to go back to work, and they kind of I guess they just divert their minds from it. But I think I was able to kind of face the grief quite head on. I obviously had kind of, initially there was obviously that disbelief of has it actually happened. And so outside of the kind of frame of your thinking completely, right? I think there's a total shock. But I was able to actually face with the grief quite early on. I guess, kind of process it and deal with it. And just did nothing, literally was a zombie, didn't leave the house for a long time. And then, kind of about 6 months later, I think I began to just ease back into doing bits and bobs here and there, kind of doing, just not really touring, but just kind of doing bits of work here and there. I think when I got back into, so I didn't check my Instagram for literally 6 months. I was off Instagram completely. No, they didn't want to see anything. And when I came back onto Instagram and I saw that the amount of love and support there was, actually it was quite like a nice, warm kind of feeling. So I think that actually made me think, okay, I should kind of get back into kind of gigging again and get back into the normal kind of cycle of life. So I think about 9 months after she passed away, I was kind of back doing shows here and there.
Yeah.
And then, I think it kind of, the whole thing, I think kind of humanized me. I think there's definitely an effect of people are able to kind of connect with you on a more human level. Before that was more like Arjun the singer.
Right.
Now it's like people who've lost a loved one, whether it's a sibling or a wife or husband or whatever it might be, are able to kind of connect. I can feel that kind of. I think I have more empathy. I've learned to kind of go deeper as a person. I have more empathy. I understand people's pain a lot more. I think that's helped me kind of understand what it is to be human. Honestly, like the human experience is actually, it's not just about being happy all the time. It's actually about feeling those lows and actually feeling the lows. Like there's no harm in feeling it. Actually we're taught that we should be happy all the time, but actually if you're sad, just be sad. Like, you don't have to try and divert yourself back to being happy. Just be sad. I guess feel the emotion and process the emotion and sit with it. It's uncomfortable, but if you're able to sit with it and you're able to face it head on, I think that actually helps you to kind of move past it. Well, not move past it, but I guess be able to heal from it.
I think
somewhat.
People are so different as well. So some people really need to feel that emotion, shut away for 6 months, kind of like how you did. And some people like the fact that they can go into an office and kind of forget about it. And that's how they deal with it. Because I'm someone like you that has to process an emotion, and I have to think about it. I have to talk about it. I have to experience it, and then I can be like, I'm sad.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not normally like that. I'm actually normally more like a typical guy, I guess. And I'm good at kind of compartmentalizing it and putting it to a side. But I think with this one, I had no choice because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't function. So I think that was, Karen, you were saying. So you usually would face something would face something head on. So I think for me, normally I'm much more of a distractor. I'd do something else to kind of get my mind off it. But that was a different kind of. So I think that was a total different kind of level of pain. So I couldn't really just put it to a side. If I have a small argument with someone, I'm able to just put it in a box.
Really?
Go and write a song or do a gig, whatever, and come back. But most girls I've been with, they're like, no, I can't.
Well, we need to talk about it right now, in this second.
Hash it out. So that I've seen. But yeah.
It's difficult, I think, when you're in the public eye, when something happens, and that could be in terms of anything, but let's talk about in the situation with grief. Did you address it with the public?
In what way? Oh, you mean the grief? The grief or what happened?
Did you tell people what happened?
Yeah.
Or did people already know?
No, so actually, weirdly, it was like a double whammy because I think I announced the fact that we were married and that she'd passed away at the same time.
Okay.
So I think fans kind of knew that we were probably dating. I think we kind of worked it out, but it wasn't officially announced. I think so. There was quite a double shock, the fact that she was because she was like Tash, the kind of PR, Arjun team member, and then obviously she was known as being my wife. I think there was a double shock, but yeah, we announced it, and I think I wanted to kind of honor her and make people aware. I think she was very kind of behind the scenes for most of my career, and it was like the Arjun show, and she was like the kind of engine that was running it. So I wanted to make her the kind of focus of, so that was a song I wrote about her, concept we did for her. I think I wanted to kind of shine a light on her. So yeah.
And I was just going to say, I've seen you do that quite a lot, and I see you still talk about her, and you still like write songs about her, and I think that's really lovely because obviously she was a massive part of your life.
Yeah.
How does that translate into your life at the moment, though, in terms of if you were to meet someone else?
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky.
Grief is a funny one with that because even for people who have lost their partners, and you can only really talk about it in this situation because you don't really get, well, I guess actually when people are married and let's say they've lost their parents, some people find it very hard to say mum and dad to the new sets of parents.
Yeah.
Or, with a relationship, it's very difficult to say, I don't love that person anymore, because I am someone who believes that when you love someone, you love them forever. Doesn't mean you're obsessed with them or you think about them but there is love there.
There is love, yeah. I mean, tricky one. I think there's definitely, it's a hard balance to strike. I think that there's obviously, with a breakup, you kind of close the door, no interaction with their family. It's like that's it, they're gone. And there's no real, what's the word, like leftover kind of stuff.
Communication, yeah. I
think with someone passes away, obviously their family is still very close to me, a family, and my family, I was married to her. I think that feeling of, I think we became closer actually, because obviously through that kind of shared loss, I spent a lot of time with them, so I think that's made me kind of more close to them. I think that's obviously a hard thing for someone to handle. People like Rio Ferdinand, his wife passed away.
Really?
And I think he did a documentary about it. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Watch the documentary; it's really good. I think so. In a way, I guess it's easier that I have no kids, or that would be even harder. I think there's definitely it's a hard balance. I have found it hard to kind of meet someone and be able to like explain that this person's still a presence of some kind, not like she's not like come back in my life, but she's been part of my career, part of my family. I think that, and also because she was so kind of deeply involved in my career, and the fans knew her. Literally, I would go on tour to like a country, and Tash would have her own fans. They were like, oh my God, we're so like, we're so proud of you that you're able to, kind of do all these, be a doctor, but also be a manager and a tour manager, whatever. So I think she was definitely a very unique person. I think think that her kind of I think that can be a little bit of a tricky one to kind of, I guess, what's the word, to balance, but yeah, gets easier and easier with time, I guess.
Of course, and I think that's
been 4 years now.
I think with so many things, you don't know how to figure them out at first, and so your mental health at this time is probably quite hard, right, to manage.
At that time, that time was crazy.
How did you manage it and kind of get back into, I guess, a better way?
I think I'm very lucky to be quite blessed to be able to just be quite positive in general as a person. I think I've always generally had quite like I do love life. I think I've never kind of questioned life, and like there was obviously the first few weeks was obviously a very dark time, but I think I've always had a lot that I wanted to achieve. I think I have a lot of purpose. I have a lot of ambition. I just enjoy like a lot of things. I enjoy like, so I'm quite kind of extrovert in some ways. I'm like extrovert but also introvert in some ways. I love people, right? But I love my own time too. So I think I'm definitely enjoy friends and family and food and travel. I think there's a lot that at the moment I'm the opposite of you. I feel like I'm actually balancing it probably maybe too much away from career and more like I'm booking holidays. You're like cancelling. Yeah. I'm booking like Mykonos and Ibiza. So I think for me, because I have had phases where I've done nothing but work literally for like 2-3 years non-stop. Where literally I've been go, taking a flight every 2-3 days. I've just been on a plane and building a fan following, and actually just being so absorbed by that I've missed out on other things. I think, but I didn't feel like I was missing out at the time. Right. But now I feel like, I just want to enjoy everything else. So, for sure. So why not?
So how do you manage your mental health now with kind of like balancing everything. Kind of, I guess that there's also a fear of, and I don't know if you have this, but when you're not working hard, you want to be, and then you're like, oh no, but I want to relax. Like, I want to do this.
I have a lot of guilt over not working hard. I think I've been brought up to feel like I should always be working hard, like academically, but also just in general in life. I should always be working.
Right.
But actually, why? Like, I mean, not why, but like, I feel like there's so much fun stuff to do. I feel like I've built a foundation. Well, I think as an artist, there's always this really hard struggle. I think it's the hardest thing, which I have to deal with, is that there's a way of being content, where you kind of plateau, I guess, and you don't grow so much in terms of career, but you're very content and everything feels good and you're kind of happy and everything's kind of just flowing and it's fun, but you're not pushing yourself to achieve the next big thing in your career,
right?
Which actually I battle with, because I'm like, at the moment I feel like I'm in that phase where I'm just I had COVID, I was not able to go out for like a year, so obviously I'm enjoying being able to like go to people's weddings and birthdays and just be out and about and I guess live life. I think there's a lot of life that we didn't live for like a year and a half with COVID. So I think that this period now, I'm prioritizing that. But I definitely have this internal guilt, like I should be making more music, I should be touring more, I should be doing more. Yeah. But I am touring a lot. But
yes, I was just going to say, I feel like you're away all the time.
But compared to what I was before, I never saw anyone. I had no social life at one point. Actually, I was just like, people would literally give up on me. They're like, there's no point inviting him to stuff anymore because he's not going to show. And now, I think post Tash passing away, I really connected with friends a lot. I think my friends were so amazing in that time. They literally were like in my house all the time, like on a rota for like 6 months. My house was full of people. It was like a dorm room full of like, it was literally like full of people all the time, which actually was really weirdly quite nice. Even though obviously you're going through this crazy grief, but actually you have this amazing like support there. I think so that really made me appreciate how important friendships are, how important people are. I think also if you lose someone that close to you, you either become very bitter, you kind of start to think like, oh my God, what is the world about? Or you become very grateful for what you do have.
So
you have your parents, you have your friends, your siblings, whatever. I think for me, I realized that I'm so lucky, blessed to have a lot of people that love me. Well, I hope they love me. Maybe they don't, but I mean, that I love at least, and that I'm able to have that sort of network. I think for me, I've always operated, even in music, that I've always been a collaborator. I like to kind of work with people. I like to kind of share people's energies. I'm a very energy-based person. So if I was to meet someone and we just vibe, then I'd always want to work with them.
So you want to do the club?
You know, I've actually...
We're filming. You can at least slide, you know?
I've actually done 2 Budgeon albums. I produced 2 Budgeon albums.
Oh, for God's sake, I'm not doing Budgeon collab, okay? That was like, God.
But while we're here, you might have some Budgeon loving people here. So check out the Budgeon Project by Shivali. Sorry.
Oh, I
Shameless
love her.
plug. Do you?
She's great.
Why don't you get her on this podcast?
Yeah, I should.
She's like a really good friend of mine. One
She's
of my best
lovely.
friends. Yeah.
She's actually really good. Really good. I do love her Budgeons actually.
Okay, fine. So there you go.
Classic.
So I made those albums. I produced them.
Did you?
She sang them, but I made the music. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, maybe we will collab on the Budgeon space then. But yeah, I think, you know, it's so crazy to see your growth and so amazing to see everything that's happened. But working in a world where you have fans, I think some people don't really understand it because a lot of people can catch you on a good day where you're feeling great and that's great for them, right? Like fans will love you and like you said, they make montages and they like make all these accounts for you and like it's a bit crazy. Have you ever had anyone stalk you?
Kind of. I mean, when I was younger,
right,
I had people like there was a cab driver who dropped me off from the airport.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, my daughter's a big fan of yours, and so I was talking to him about this, and then like the next day, we left my house, and him and his daughter were like outside the house. I mean, that's not a stalker, but I guess they were just there.
Right.
And then I had to sign some stuff, and I think I met them like 2-3 times after that because they kept showing off places like that. So that wasn't a stalker, but I think as a guy, it's less scary. I think a female stalker is not the same as for you. It's maybe more scary. If a male stalker, might be a bit more freaky. But yeah, not really. It's more so. I mean, I feel just. It's love. I don't feel like I don't take it as creepiness. I think it's more like, you know, I don't take it as like someone's a crazy person if they've made a
effort
montage
to come outside your house.
Yeah, there's one girl I'm in Canada. not my house.
If someone sat outside your house.
Made the effort to break in. Made the effort to break into my house.
They break in, have coffee. I mean, I just see it as love.
Give them No, so there was this girl actually in Toronto who she made this book, like a thick book of like hundreds of pages.
Okay.
Of like photos of me from like birth to like that point, pictures that my mum had never even seen. I was like, I don't know how she found this. Like, literally, it was so touching though.
Was your rock picture in there? Was your rock band picture in there?
Yes, everything was in there. Literally.
I'm gonna message her.
Yeah, I won't tell your name. But that was it's not stalkerish, but I think that's obviously a little bit extreme.
And then I think you have the other side of when somebody catches you in a bad mood, or let's say you're in a rush, or let's say you're busy, and people then troll you or attack you. Have you ever had that?
I have obviously had. I mean, if I was to look deeply into my comments on YouTube or somewhere, I'm sure I'd find abuse.
Yeah.
Everyone would find abuse, but touch wood. I mean, I generally, it's mainly quite positive.
Yeah.
As you say, obviously, I'm sure there's people who misconstrue if you're like just in a rush or you're busy or something, and people would think that you're just not friendly. But obviously, it's hard to be always on. I think it's quite draining. People don't understand actually. Like, my mum was always like, "Why are you so tired after events? Like you're just going to party." But actually, a lot of it is like network, as you probably know. It's like it's networking. It's like showing. I guess you have to kind of show
love.
Yeah.
You have to be happy.
Yeah, but
be like,
exactly.
Hey.
Just take a lot of pictures. I think my face hurts by the end of it. It sounds a bit diva-ish, but like,
no, I understand.
There's obviously like, it is a definitely, it's quite like a unique experience. As you're probably learning yourself now, it's obviously it's a different feeling to kind of have a fan. Like, what is a fan? It's quite weird. Like,
it is.
People who genuinely just love you, and I think that is amazing. And I took it for granted for a long time. I think when I was younger, I was like, oh, it's just numbers. I'm just building fans and whatever. But actually, when you're away from it for a while, you realize that that's actually a human being who's taking the time to like draw a picture of you or like buy your album or come to your show. It's an amazing feeling. Actually, that is. I feel like I'm much more tuned into that post Tash passing. I think I've definitely learned that empathy and general feeling of connection with people. I feel more connected to people in general. I think that feeling of like someone a stalker. I wouldn't call them a crazy fan. I would never call them crazy now. Back in the day, I might be like, oh, what the hell is this like weird person? But now I'm like, it's love. Like, it's amazing. And like being loved is a key to life.
To love.
Love is the key. Love is the key to life. So yeah.
I mean, when I mean stalker, I mean someone who's like hounding you,
or like
not someone
in a
who's
dangerous way.
Yeah, in a dangerous way. That's what I meant. But you know,
I've not had that. She's honest with you.
Yeah, that you're really lucky because I think a lot of people I speak to, they are going through that. Where people are finding them and people are like turning up to the house and people are sending them things.
And doing what? Sending things I've had, but in what way? Like
sending
in a dangerous
roses
way?
And sending like cards and being like, I'm waiting for you outside here.
Okay.
It's scary.
I had that once in New York. Actually, once I had that. Someone sent me like a care package, but it was like it was a bit of a weird one. Like, it was like I saw you here and I saw you there, and they knew everything that I was doing. That's a bit weird.
Scary.
Yeah,
I would be freaked out by that. I'd probably run a mile. But it's your journey is amazing, and what you're doing now is incredible. And for me, you've been so open on this podcast, and I really appreciate that because I know that's hard. You're normally used to like music podcasts. You're talking about your new song. But for me, I think a lot of people don't see that side of you. A lot of people didn't know you went to Oxford. No, I'm joking. No, but I think a lot of people didn't know that you went to Cambridge and didn't know that you struggled. People just think when you see your journey that you started young and you made it, and that's how it happens. And
honestly, yeah. I mean, sorry to interrupt, but the key to life I've learned through Stephen Bartlett, amongst other people, as one of your favorites, but one of my favorites too. But I think that you learn so much more in the L's, in the losses. 100%. When you fail, fine, it might be embarrassing publicly, but actually you learn so much more about yourself, about everything. Like songs of mine that haven't done well, I've learned so much more from the experiences. As a person, you grow more. I think there's the artist side, but there's also the human side. I think as a person, you become more resilient. You just learn how to deal with stuff and kind of, what's the word? I guess kind of navigate life in a more efficient way.
Every time something bad happens to me in terms of I fail at something doesn't go well, I always say to myself, it's going to be such a great story.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel that now when I talk about
like the curtain coming down when you're
right. I mean, I've never told anyone that. I can't believe I shared that. But every time something does go wrong, all I think about is how am I going to tell this story, and it's going to make the story even better because I know I'm going to make it. And so when I do, how amazing that this failed, and how amazing that this podcast got 2 views, because that's a better story than saying, when I started my podcast, I was number whatever. It's much. Exactly. And that's how I cope with my problems. Is I just say, the story will be great at the end. So great that this happened.
But I think the journey you're on, like the journey is the fun part.
It's the fun part.
The destination is not the fun part.
It's so much more fun.
I've had so many targets that I've reached that I feel like I've just not been as gassed about or as excited by. Whereas actually the fun part of just being with, like, doing dumb stuff with friends while on the journey, or things that have gone wrong, or just or funny episodes you've had. Yeah. That's what makes your life kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess, diverse and
And trying is way more fun to think like, oh my God, I can't wait till I hit this stat, or I can't wait to hit this. And then when you hit it, you're just like, okay, whatever.
Exactly.
You know, but aiming for
Always
it
the
and
next thing.
trying is way more fun and way more exciting. So we finished this podcast with
Oh, is that it? We're done.
We're done.
Oh,
But we finish it
survived.
with yeah, you did. You did well. We finish it with a truth or dare.
Oh,
So you haven't survived just yet.
okay, fine.
Which do you pick?
Oh,
Truth or dare?
Dare seems a bit like extreme. Okay, maybe a dare.
You want a dare? I dare you to beatbox.
Oh my god. Okay, truth. I can't beatbox anymore.
You want to do truth?
It's the truth.
You want to dare? Okay, can I dare you to sing a song?
No, I said truth.
You said dare first, actually.
I switched to truth. No,
Well,
you're
fine.
off dare now. So
Fine, I'll give you truth.
yeah.
What was name me a time where you performed and you had to perform really well? And because I think when you're a performer, you have to sing so eloquently and with so much love, and it's all about your vibe, by the way, right? Like in your voice, your energy, like you said, but you actually were going through a really hard time.
Yeah, many times. I think there's, I mean, post Tash stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of shows. I think that one of the biggest shows I've ever done, the London Mela. It's like the biggest, I guess, Mela in the UK, the biggest festival. 2019, after Tash passed away, I think that was like the first big show I'd done. And I was super sad because I think Tash was always like one of my kind of main kind of shared goals was to headline that. As a kid, I watched like Jay Sean and Rugg, all these guys do that. So I think for her, not to be there, but also me to do it at the same time, it was very kind of bittersweet. So I did like a big tribute to her at the show. That was pretty painful, but also amazing at the same time. So
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on.
thank you.
Thank you for being so
Survived.
open.
Wow.
You survived. And I really appreciate it. So
No,
thank
thank
you.
you.
I appreciate it.
Hey everyone, and thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Wherever you're listening or watching, if you could press the like, follow, and subscribe button, it would mean the world to me.